SB and Sean breaking through the noise, serving real talk, the genuine choice. No pretense, no hidden schemes, just sports passion fueling dreams. From the field to the court, every play that's made, real takes over fake debates. Turn it up, hear the honest sound, unfiltered sports all year round. Discussions pure, no masquerade, real takes over fake debates. Turn it up. Over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates.
And we are live. SB Talk Sports, Sean Webb, real takes over fake debates. It is Monday. What's going on, Sean? There you go, my boy Sean here. It's Monday, Sean. What's going on, man?
Doing good, SB. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I just want to give you a heads up. Something strange is going on in the sports world. A lot of people are upset. Players are going back in their time spots where they started their stardom or became a star. WNBA players are demanding to be paid. Donald Trump is doing stuff to the NIL money. The Bengals are still showing that they're a trash organization. We got a lot to talk about. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe and join the Real Take So Fake Debate Movement. Shout out Cottage in the chat. Shout out Goat James in the chat. Shout out Goat James Kingdom in the chat. Also join the Goat James Kingdom membership and also join the RTOFD membership. Your perks come with that. Sean, let's get right into the news. I want to knock out a couple of these NBA players' return stories. One of the most recent ones, obviously, Chris Paul has just announced this year most likely will be his last year, which it is. So people was questioning where would he go. Well, we finally got our answer. Chris Paul will be returning, and he will be retiring a Los Angeles Clipper. What is your reaction to this? And is this move an actual move that can help them compete? Because this not no just you could be farewell to, we gonna be trash. The Clippers are still trying to compete.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris Paul actually had a good season last year. SB he played all 82 games. He was a really value add for the Spurs. I mean, before obviously Wemby went out and obviously the De'Aaron Fox trade and De'Aaron Fox going out. The Spurs were pushing, to potentially be a play-in team, maybe. Don't know if they would have made the playoffs, but I think they were pushing for that. And so, he was a big value add for that team.
Yeah.
I think anywhere Chris Paul goes, he's going to be a value add. But when you just look at the Clippers situation and the moves that they've made, albeit, the John Collins acquisition, they've essentially traded Norman Powell to get John Collins and Bradley Beal on a pretty friendly deal, and also now Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
They got some pretty good depth. Now, obviously, they're older. They're going to need
old is an understatement. They old.
I mean, it's basically the 21 Lakers, if we want to be real. But,
Yeah, but AD was a little younger, though. The second guy was like, AD can get the job.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying the rest of the roster.
Right? For sure.
Yeah, it was so much being gay in that locker room. But the point is that, they're older. And obviously, the big issue with the Clippers is always going to be what's going to happen with Kawhi. So I think ultimately it's a solid signing. It's a good signing. And again, Chris Paul, has talked openly about, being away from his family these last few years because his family has stayed in LA. Obviously his kids with school and things of that nature, and that's tough, being away like that, and so I'm glad this happened. And like you said, this is his last season. 21 years is a long time. He's people forget Chris Paul is only a few months younger than LeBron. So, it's a really good signing. I like it, and happy that he's, getting to go out on his own terms.
I think that's the most important thing for me too. Is the last thing you said, going out on your own terms. To see Chris Paul and what he has done for the league. People forget Chris. A lot of people don't like Chris Paul, but people can never deny that he's the point guard. He's always made players improve. Has been one of the best passers in the league during his time. One of the best point guards in the league during his time. People forget how good prime Chris Paul was. Hornets Chris Paul was different, and Clippers Chris Paul was nice as well. I'm happy to see him go out with his team that he was pretty much like got stardom with, so he didn't really go nowhere else. Like, because only other place I really would have wanted to see him go, which would have been the Hornets, but it's not the same Hornets because the Hornets that he used to be is the Pelicans. The Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets are different, but I would have loved to see him go to the Hornets because I think a player like LaMelo Ball actually needs the structure of what a Chris Paul brings to the table to help him take his game to the next level. But him going to the Clippers, I actually like it. And I think it's not like Chris Paul just going to come there and do the Paul Pierce thing on the Clippers. I think he actually going to contribute this last season and then go out with a bang.
Yeah, and I think if you just look at their second unit is Chris Paul and Bogdanovich and Derrick Jones Jr. and Brook Lopez and Nicholas Batum. They got a pretty good second unit now, and obviously with Ty Lue, he can deploy some different lineups now. And again, I think the big thing is just going to be how you manage this roster being a little bit older as you try to make a run in the postseason.
So John Stockton had a better career. Chris Paul better college. He asked who better, CP3 or John Stockton. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm probably taking Chris Paul, but only thing that's going to be concerned for me with this team is it's just injuries for me, and it's really just Kawhi. Because legitly, Sean, if I had to ask you, healthy, do you think if the Clippers was healthy, do you think they can make the NBA Finals? Can they beat a OKC? Can they beat a Denver or a Timberwolves?
It's going to be tough. I think they have depth, which is what those other teams have as well. Yeah. You mentioned Denver, you mentioned the Timberwolves, you mentioned the Thunder.
I think those are top three teams. Oh, I forgot about the Rockets too.
And the Rockets. So I mean, I think again, I think the Clippers could be a very tough out for any of those teams. And you know how playoffs always come down to SB health, adjustments, matchups. So that's how I kind of look at it. Is they could be a tough matchup and a tough out for any team in the West, I believe.
Yeah, I'm still I make sure I say it the right way because I didn't want to do Kawhi that dirty. I don't trust the better way. I'm gonna say I just don't trust Kawhi to be healthy. That's a better way of saying. But I'm out on that. They gonna have to the Clippers gonna have to show me. I have to see.
Yeah. No, listen. They no longer get the benefit of the doubt.
No more.
You have to see it now.
But speaking of the other thing with the Clippers though, too, Sean, finally getting a buyout from the Phoenix Suns. That's crazy. If somebody give you $100 million not to be nowhere, it's crazy. Sign me up for that. Sign me up. $100 million to never be here again. Sign me up. I'll sign me up. I will never be there at all. But Bradley Beal has reached a contract buyout with the Phoenix Suns and plans to sign a 2-year, $11 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. My initial mindset is he's going to come in and try to take the Norman Powell role. And with him taking the Norman Powell role, I think Bradley Beal could get the numbers and shot attempts he want to get up when Kawhi is going to be out. Because it's not if Kawhi is going to be out, it's when Kawhi is going to be out. But what I really want to see with Bradley Beal is how can he fit in with this team when Kawhi is here as the third option. Because we obviously see him and KD and Book really didn't work out. And I will presume that Bradley Beal is going to start with the Clippers.
Yeah, I would think so as well, SB. I think it was a good signing. Again, when you look at kind of the net loss of, trading Norman Powell, getting John Collins, getting Bradley Beal, getting Chris Paul, I think it's very difficult to say the Clippers have more depth and certainly, can offer different lineups and different matchups. With Bradley Beal, I think has to embrace in this situation, and this is probably realistically the best chance he has to win. And so I think he's going to buy into whatever Ty Lue is selling. and again, he got a bad rap,
Yeah.
because of the Washington contract and obviously that big contract for Phoenix. Now it's like, okay, now you're in again, I think the best position in his career to win, and on a team that doesn't necessarily need him to be a star. He just got to be a star in his role, whatever that is. And so I think he's going to embrace that. I would be surprised if he doesn't embrace that. If you ever hear him talk about the game and about basketball, it would shock me if he didn't embrace that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he passed that point where he shouldn't be embracing his role because he's not the Washington Winston Bradley Beal anymore. Or
Right.
you're not in a situation where you can just do what you want to do. It's over with. So, but I do think maybe to the Clippers would have been great. I mean, I'm trying to think what the teams really, what the Heat, Clippers. Yeah, I really can't really see no other real team that I really thought he was going to go to. And
And
like,
he wouldn't come to the Heat because Norman Powell's there.
no,
So
Powell went there, yeah. So that
and
was the
and
way.
Tyler Hero. So what's the role there for him?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I always thought it was the Clippers. I thought outside chance Milwaukee was the other team I thought
Mm-hmm.
would be in on him, but
That'd have been Giannis probably would have been happy about that. Like, yeah, you lose Dame and get Bradley Beal and Miles Turner. That'd have been like a
yeah,
band-aid because they
yeah,
trying to force Giannis to
yeah.
leave so bad. They want Giannis to leave so bad. You think he just seen what? This is another thing too. I want to say because we finna talk about Dame next, but you don't think he just seen what happened with the last two couple people that went somewhere else to ring chase, see what happened to Harden. Sometimes the grass ain't green on the other side. And if I already won somewhere, why would I leave? Y'all trying to force me to leave Milwaukee? I'm gonna run up all these stats. We gonna be down a year, come back next year and compete. And also, he actually got a chance to compete this year because the East is wide open. It's still a possibility that the Bucks can make a run in the East. Not many teams to start for. No, it's not a lot of teams Bradley Beal can start for. But speaking of another return home, Sean, Dame Dollar has decided to return to the Blazers. Um, One thing I want to say though, and this is why I said the thing I said about Giannis. Y'all gotta stop trying to force players to do things. This is not NBA 2K. We have real life stuff going on. Real life houses you gotta buy. Real life children that I gotta transfer to different schools. So you want me to go over here all the way on the other side of the country to compete for a championship while my kids all the way on the other side of the water of the states, and you think I'm gonna play comfortable. But now, if I go to a team that I like, I done built myself up in where I still think I compete, even if you figure that I can't compete, I'm a loser. I got a loser mentality. We got to stop this. We do because ring chasing is sometimes worse. Y'all already complain about Kevin Durant looking like the Lucky Charms logo with how many different colored jerseys he have, and he's been ring chased. Did it work out for him? No, it didn't. I'm gonna be real with you. Ring chasing really didn't work out for LeBron because he got all the losses by ring chasing. So ring chasing, I think he's just been the most successful by anybody else as a main figure, but no, ring chasing doesn't work out for everybody at all. Look at the majority of the players in the past who try to ring chase and bounce from team to team to team, and the team don't really have no ties to you. So if you a superstar who don't play like a superstar, they're gonna throw you in the trash instantly. You ain't like a guy who's been that team. They drafted you. You done grew up, became a superstar there, and you got loyalty with the people. You know the ownership. You know the staff and everybody. So they might give you a benefit of the doubt or two. But no, ring. I just want to end the you got if you don't ring chase, you got to lose your mentality because of what's going on with the team, and I don't like that. And I think Dame went back home to one the main reason to be with his children. That's obviously. And I feel like it shouldn't be no problem that Dame Lillard want to go home and be with his children. He haven't seen his kids. That probably affected his play because his kids is not with him every day. And he didn't want to leave Portland in the first place. Y'all forced Dame to leave Portland. And
Right.
y'all try to
And
do the same thing to Giannis. And it didn't
yeah,
work out.
right. And remember, he didn't want to go to Milwaukee,
He
so
did
that
not
was
want
the
to go
other.
to Milwaukee.
So that was the other part.
Yeah. But what was your reaction to this, Sean?
Not surprising. Again, faith and family over everything,
Yep.
and so not surprised at all. Again, the the whole ring culture conversation. I hope it's starting to die because it's gotten out of control and it's gotten insane. I hope it really dies. With and again, this is bigger than sometimes it's bigger than basketball. And at the end of the day, Damian Lillard, the day he hangs him up, will be a Hall of Famer, and he's already top 75. And obviously, when the next 25 come out and top 100, he'll be top 100. So, Dame honestly has nothing left to prove in terms of, his basketball legacy. If they win a ring, it's icing on the cake. He's his story and where he came from and what he's had to overcome in his life.
Weber
He's
State.
he's already won multiple times over, and so not mad with this move at all.
No, I'm not. I wasn't mad at it either. I was more shocked because of the ring, like you said, the ring culture mentality has been like corrupted a lot of people's minds. So that's why I was like, I even thought I'm like, okay, where Dame gonna go? Is he just gonna sit out a year? But once they announced where he was going, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that makes him happy, and he could just go there and put the rest of crazy numbers up in Portland, and possibly retire as the greatest trailblazer of all time, maybe.
Well,
Maybe.
no, he's not gonna be the greatest trailblazer of all time.
It's Clyde.
Clyde, and then I would say Dame after Clyde.
Dame over Bill Walton?
Yes, just the longevity.
Okay.
But that said, I think it'll be interesting now with the makeup of their roster. I mean, obviously Dame's not playing this season, but they have Drew Holiday, they have Scoot, you have Dame. It's like a crowded quarterback room. It's like everybody can't play. And I know they don't have to worry about that for a year, but it's gonna be interesting to see what they do next summer with their roster, with Drew Holiday and in particular.
Did you shock they gave Dame a no trade clause or no?
No, because I think it's more just to me, this is a thank you contract.
Yeah.
Because Dame had other places he could have gone. Again, I think Portland made sense because of his family situation, but there were other teams that were interested in Dame, so they weren't the only team that was interested. I think this was just saying, hey, we're glad to have you back here. We'll give you this as a part of the sweetener. And again, if you see a situation where you want to go, now you're not making $60 million a year. Now you're only making 14. That's a much easier contract to trade. Let's give you this no trade clause. And so if it comes to that, we can work out better where you want to go.
Do you think he's just gonna ball out in Portland for the rest of his career, or you think like because I don't think how old is Dame? Matter of fact,
Dame's like 35, 36.
Oh no, yeah, he might be done after this contract. He might be done. Let me see age.
Yeah, he just turned 35.
Yeah, 35. So he'll be like 38 after yeah. He's retired after this. So yeah, he's retired.
You would think so. Yeah,
I would think so. Yeah. Let us know what you guys think about the Dame move. Also, the Lakers finally made a move. Marcus Smart is signed with the Lakers after a buyout with the Wizards. How you grading this, Sean? And how long in the season before Lakers fans start calling Marcus Smart trash? I give about the first month after the first month.
Yeah, I would say late November.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. October, week 1. Week 1.
Obviously, if you're the Lakers, perimeter defense is a big issue for you. Marcus Smart obviously, tends to bring that wherever he goes. Yes. Also, there's one less person that can get on Luka's nerves defensively because he's a pest. It's a great value add. Does it move the needle? Not really, but it's a smart value add. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it was good because it fits what Luka needs. Obviously, he needs a defensive guy next to him. I think Marcus Smart is that guy. Also can be a secondary ball handler, not too crazy. I heard that he really wanted to go back to the Celtics, but yeah, I don't think the Celtics made an offer to him.
And remember the Celtics are still trying to cut salary. You know, they want to get under that tax. If I think that if you're reading the tea leaves, they seem like they want to get under that tax. I still think it's a chance they flip Anthony Simons.
I think so too.
You know, so they want to get under that tax. They want to reset that tax this season if they can. So I don't think Marcus Smart would have made sense unless it would have been like on a veteran minimum.
And he wasn't taking that.
He got the biannual exception. So you know.
Yeah, I think it was an okay move. I think this is a move for Luka Doncic. That's all it is. That's all I looked at it as.
Yeah.
But Shaw, controversial things has been going on with the WNBA. It was All-Star Weekend. The women made a statement by coming out wearing one more shirts saying, pay you what you owe us. It says all of the NBA players on Team Clark and Team Collar warmed up for Saturday's night WNBA All-Star Game in shirts that read, "Pay us what you owe us." Below the text was the logo for the WNBPA, the Players Union, which announced on social media during the game that the shirts are now on sale. Ha! The shirts come after the players in the league failed to reach a new collective bargaining agreement at an in-person meeting Thursday. The league's players opted out of their last CBA in October and are looking for a better revenue sharing model, increased salaries, improved benefits, and a softer salary cap. Sean, what's your initial reaction to just when you seeing them in their shirts? And then what's your reaction about everything that's going on?
My initial reaction is if they had to send a statement. I think the people who are, decrying what they did and speaking out against what they did probably don't really understand why they're doing what they're doing. So a couple things just for context. So collective bargaining agreement. Part of the collective bargaining agreement is the owners and the players union deciding how basketball related income, BRI, is going to be split.
All right.
Okay. So in the NBA players get between 49 and 51% of BRI. Right. The WNBA is 9.3% that goes to players. Right. That's the first thing. So you're talking about a massive issue. Now, why are the players doing this right now? Players are doing this right now because they are getting ready to be in the midst of having meetings about collective bargaining to identify a new collective bargaining agreement for them in the league. But also the league is getting ready to get a major revenue boost next season because of the new NBA media rights deal that starts this season for the NBA. So they're going to get, I think it's $200 million a year out of that deal over an 11-year period, which I think roughly adds up to about $2.2 billion over the 11-year period. So what they're looking for is a greater share of basketball-related income, but also the benefits. They don't have great benefits. To put another thing in context, so the WNBA a couple years ago basically put a prioritization on WNBA players who would also traditionally play overseas, where they would make more money and they would get paid, and it would supplement what they weren't making in the WNBA from them going overseas, because basically they have to be backed by a certain time, and if they're not backed by a certain time, they're subject to fines and all. So there's some different things there as well. So the players union of the WNBA has some major issues. Now people are going to say, well, the WNBA has been operating at a loss, for some time, and blah blah blah.
True. Which is true.
Guess whose fault that isn't?
It's WNBA fault.
No, but I'm saying, whose fault is it not?
Oh, we should say
the players.
It's the players' fault.
It's not the players' fault.
No, that's true. But you still operate. You gotta address the elephant in the room first. But also, hold on, wait, to play devil's advocate a little bit. It actually do have a fault of the players a little bit, to me, in my honest opinion, because when this stuff was like kind of going on, but every time people would try to throw suggestions towards their way, they wasn't really like acceptive to those suggestions at all. So you got to they hands not 100% clean. That's what I should say.
Yeah, but again, let's keep in mind on in a business, in a negotiation, a labor negotiation, I never side with those who are going to make money endlessly longer than those who are not. These players have a finite time to make this money, right? Because you can't play forever. You can own a team forever, but you can't play forever.
That's true.
So that's a big part of this, I believe. But also, yeah, again, from a marketing perspective, are there things that the players could be more interested in doing? Maybe. But, that's a whole different conversation.
I mean, I'll be honest, I get like not necessarily like issue. I'm gonna say the the league should have been there doing if Caitlin Clark is getting y'all the attention, she should have done a better job in boosting that and putting that person out there. One, slow. You supposed to drown out the negativity, even if your players felt the way. Drown out the negativity, keep everything in a positive light. That's one. Two, if you see that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark rivalry was giving you more boost, you supposed to definitely push that into the light, but also make it like entertainment, like Magic and Bird. They made emphasis on they put best way to say they put a story around it. They build it up. They made it make sense. I also think like they should do a better job, but telling the history of teams, get people to attach to something. Honestly, I'm gonna be real, Sean. It help basketball. Make a GOAT debate. Why you not talking to nobody like in your league of Jordan? You got to give somebody a Jordan, give somebody a LeBron, give somebody a debate. Like I think that's what the point they missed the beat up on too, though. And I think that would have helped, and you would have got more money off it too.
Well, I think again, keep in mind the WNBA is less than 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
So it's not all that different from where the NBA was at 30 years old, right? The NBA was struggling, right? They didn't have a major TV deal. You had games on tape delay. The finals were on tape delay, things of that nature. The WNBA isn't quite there, but what I'm saying is that there's a process that they have to go through as a league. And again, I think the league has to take some ownership because I don't think the league has marketed itself as well as it could have.
Yes.
Compared to what it did when it first came out. Because when it first came out, they were marketing the mess out of it. And I remember it. It was huge. Yeah. They haven't done that as much. And I think there are different reasons why, which again, I don't want to get into right now. I'd rather have somebody else come on and we have that discussion.
Yeah, which you first. But also, Lamont, I see what the other comments. I'm gonna read it the way that you've been to say it. Shout out FYF in the bill, Lamont in the building. He said the WNBA t-shirts just show how dumb they are. As all other pro leagues, you simply lock out and negotiate for more money and leverage. This isn't a social justice movement. They aren't victims.
So I'm not gonna comment on the last line. What I do want to say is the lockout is the last resort, right? But I think what the Players Association wants is the league and the ownership and the commissioner to come to the table and negotiate in good faith, given the amount of money that's about to come in with the new media rights deal. That's all. I don't think they're not asking to be paid like NBA players. I think I think what they're primarily asking for is a much fairer split of basketball related income and better benefits for them once they are done, given the WNBA has essentially put restrictions on their ability to go overseas and play where they can make money, which is why now we have leagues like the Unrivaled that happened in January. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's that more than anything. I do believe they'll figure it out, but it may very well take, to Lamont's point, it may take them locking out and them saying, walking away and saying, no, we're going to fight to get what we deserve. Right. But I believe that's the last resort. I think they're just saying we just need the league to negotiate in better faith.
I think my comment on this, like, Lamont, only thing that's really dumb about the shirts is I don't like the statement. To pay you what you owe us, and the league is not profitable, the league don't owe you everything. The better statement for me was saying pay players what they deserve, what they need more. But also, Sean, how you saying that they want the people to come to the table and negotiate in good faith. I want the players to come to the table and negotiate with good faith and realistic things. Don't come to the table just saying any and everything. Also, like say for example, what if they suggest, because a lot of fans are complaining saying that we would love to watch the game more if y'all dunk Lord and Rams. If they act like that's just disrespectful for them to even throw the suggestion to them, and every other women's sport, I don't need to shake your head, but every other women's sport, they are, the nets are lower, the weights are lighter. It's just human nature, human genetics. But if your fan base telling you, hey, this is what we missing to get us excited to watch this sport, why you turn and being disgusted by it, like people are disrespecting you, but all we saying we only want the rims lower just so you can dunk and add an entertainment, and we will watch it. Once we watch it, the views will go up. You guys will make more money. I'm just saying it like that. Like they it's been suggestions thrown out there, and from the player side, they looked at stuff as like distasteful. Now, the only thing that I think that was wild to say was Shaq when he was on the show with Andrew Reese, and he was talking about what they should. Well, that's wild. But I'm talking about realistic things like that. And also the media side can do better things. Like I said, do a better job at storytelling. Give us something to care about. Give us something to add to it. Because you're not making no money and you're not marketing it right. And the player's not trying to throw any good suggestions out there either.
Yeah, and again, I want to just say this really quickly. The WNBA, like many women's sports, I think. Let me back up for a second. There's a segment of women's sports that they're not selling the sport; they're selling sexuality. Right? Look at I'll use the example of the Lingerie Football League.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's football, but they're not selling football.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they don't wear what the guys in the NFL wear.
Right.
Right? Their uniforms are very different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the WNBA, and I'm saying just as a league, I think has been, over the last many years, has been hard pressed to sell or try to sell sexuality to first a base that may not necessarily want it, but two, the people who necessarily would be the ones being the sexuality being sold are not interested in being sold that way. When someone like Kelsey Plum says, "Don't come support me, come watch me play," there's a fine line. Right. So, and I think that's the part that, just from a WNBA perspective, that I don't think they're being openly honest about in terms of the conversation.
I'll put the second. They sell that type of stuff. But it's the opposite way, because it's a duo in the league right now called Stud Butts, which is a wild nickname, by the way. Hilarious, but wow, by the way. Wow, by the way, hilarious. I thought it was funny when I first heard it, but come on now. I mean, they do it. It says to the wrong crowd, and I'm just being real.
Right.
Women don't support women. They don't support as much, I would say, or they don't care too much about sports as men do, where they'll pour out a lot of money into it.
Yeah, I'm not going to put a gender on it in that way, but I'll just say
I will, because it shows that. It shows the product. The proof is in what the numbers say. It shows. I'm just being honest, Sean. I'm just being honest.
Well, SB, I can't comment on it because I haven't looked at the numbers of men versus women who support the WNBA or who go to WNBA games or watch WNBA games, so I can't comment on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say that traditionally, women's sports has always been able to sell a level of sexuality and beauty that some people in the WNBA may not necessarily be interested in being involved with.
Right. Now, Sean, before we get to Lamont comment, because then my question is, when it comes to that, if that was so much was the problem, why is college women's basketball one of the most actually women's college basketball has been more popular than the men's. They don't sell no sexuality. They don't sell nothing. You know what they do? They sell story. They tell you, they give you the story of these schools, the history of these schools, why this game means a lot. Okay, UConn playing South Carolina. You know why? Because these last couple of years they played in a tournament. Oh, this girl hit this game winning shot. They were sad. Oh, why does Angel Reese School, Iowa, and LSU beefing because they go at it every time. This is their record against each other. You sell the team. You sell stories. WNBA does not do that because it's not no sexy stuff with the women they look at because college don't do that.
Well,
And women's basketball has been more popular than men's for the last couple of years.
I think the correlation with college basketball and college sports in general is that one, they have an alumna base, right? So that's a big part of their support system.
Yeah.
Also, if you're in states like South Carolina, for example, where you don't have professional sports, or you have college sports, you support college sports like it's professional sports. So I think that's part, and then some of it is, I'm not gonna say it's geographic. Some of it is geographic, but some of it is just you have an alumna base, and your alumna base grows every year because every year you have enrollments, you get a larger alumna base. So that's what I'm saying. So I can't correlate the college women's game to the WNBA. I think it's a different when you talk about who's watching and who's going, who's supporting. It's going to be different. I just think for the WNBA's sake, and I'm just speaking about from the players' perspective, they just want to be paid more equitably, given this huge $2.2 billion that's going to come into the league over the next 11 years from this the NBA media rights deal that was just signed this past summer or last year. So
I can agree with that, but what if you still operate in Lamar? Because Lamar said two comments. I definitely want to get into these two comments. But what if you still get this money and you still operate in the negative still? Then what? How can they get the money? Even if you know the money is coming, and
right?
But
so
if they still operate in a negative with this extra money coming in too.
So the question is, SB, and this is where it gets interesting, right? The money coming in, are your operating costs going to go up with this money coming in outside of player salary? Because that's the ultimate question to me. Is, again, I know there was an issue with chartering flights. A lot of teams have started chartering flights. You know, it's that type of stuff that I think, again, factors in. And to me, and again, I don't want to spend all night on this because I know we got to move on. I think it is going to come down to the WNBA saying 9.3% is not enough, given the league is going to get $200 million a year for the next 11 years. It's not enough. So what is the right percentage of basketball-related income that should go to the players, given the league is expanding, but also given that you've put restrictions on these women going over, and these ladies and whatever, going overseas to play where they would normally supplement their income during the WNBA offseason. And so that's what I think that to me is the core of the issue. If the WNBA was saying, well, no, you can still go overseas and still go make your money and blah, 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 I'm not going to say it wouldn't be an issue. I don't know if it would be as big of an issue. It'd still be an issue, but I don't know if it would be as big of an issue, given that you basically told them they can't go overseas to make the money they used to make.
Yeah. I know that ain't true. I got to see what this. We're gonna let's get into these comments in one second. This last one, I really need to know if this is true, and I'm gonna look this up after the show. But he said WN players are making more money for 3 months of work than most hardworking Americans in a year. They won't get sympathy from the public and gaslight the league into paying them more. For me, I do think that's why nobody's going to the regular people, the regular working American is not going to give them no sympathy because of the two things that I was saying. Hold on, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, people don't have no sympathy for no athlete. They getting paid a lot of money playing sports, so it didn't matter if you was the highest paid athlete or the lowest paid athlete. Nobody gonna care in general because they was like, you getting paid a lot to play a game. That's one. But then two, the thing with the WBA players is from the regular people who see this going on, who don't watch the sport, they only see this situation. They just think they complain. That's all they doing is complaining. So they're not even deep diving because the most attention that you have seen with the WNBA recently has been either Caitlin Clark or them complaining about pay. So the regular American who don't watch the WNBA, that's all they see. So their mindset is all the WNBA got is Caitlin Clark and a bunch of complainers. And that's how it's gonna come off to a regular American. They're not even watching the sport. But don't get me wrong, Sean. No regular, hardworking American person has no sympathy for any athlete getting paid a lot of money to play a sport. People don't have sympathy for NBA players when they get shipped off and traded here, and there. People do not care. Coach J's laugh. He said WNBA is now known more for the gay women than b-ball. Unfortunately, they alligated themselves with a community that is largely shunned. Just watch Burner leave the Fever to go play with a girlfriend. And then Lamont said, WNBA All-Star Weekend is W All Star Weekend in a live Q&A. They was asking players who was the best stud in the league. I know that's not true. If that's true, that is wild.
I don't know. I didn't watch it, so I can't say.
I didn't watch it either.
I don't know.
But the reason why I wanted to see them both of comments because that's the. I know we don't try to make this over deep down. We got to like so we can quick it yes and no it, and then you get a quick statement and we can move on. But do you think that is a problem with that? Is that turning fans away like the too studdish of a movement with the WNBA? Honestly,
I don't know if it helps.
Yeah. I don't either, honestly. I really don't either. Yeah, it's send the link, Lamar. I need to see that. Send me the link. But that's kind of is wild because if you think like I think when it comes to sports, unless it's something where a statement needs to be said, I really don't think like with something like distasteful happening in the world where something needs to be said like that.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think politics should really be in sports. We shouldn't be after the game. You shouldn't ask LeBron, "Hey man, how you feel about this bill that just passed?" Like, no, if some crazy happened where a voice needs to be heard or somebody needs to be saying a statement, yes. Also, I do feel like with relationship stuff, I feel like Travis Hunter, perfect example. It's over with now. I do not care that the girl don't like the boy. That's not our business no more. Can he go there and catch a touchdown? Anything outside that, I should not care about Travis Hunter outside life. He won't be the first guy who get finesse. He won't be the first guy to get a divorce. He won't be the first person to fall in love. Why is we talking about that? I feel like that shouldn't be a part of sports either.
I think the issue, SB, is that when the game is a portion of sports, sports is the 24/7.
That's true.
Right. So by virtue of LeBron or any other athlete, Patrick Mahomes or Connor McDavid or whoever, watching them play is finite. You might get to see them watch them 2.5, 3 hours, but the other 21 plus hours, that's the sports. I think, and I'm saying this. Obviously, you probably heard the news earlier about Malcolm Jamal Warner who passed away.
College kid, right?
No, Malcolm Jamal Warner from the Cosby Show played Theo.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Malcolm Jamal Warner was an actor. He was also married with a young daughter. Never saw his wife, never saw his daughter. He kept that very, very private, very, very separate. That is the anomaly today. Now there's this obsession from us, I think, as a society to want to know as much and everything about these celebrities and these athletes.
You want to know how you wipe your butt after the game? Like, bro, right. What do you eat when you leave after the game? Why does that matter?
Right. And again, because that's what we have said sports is now. It's not just the game, it's everything else around it. And that's what makes it a sports story. That's what makes it an entertainment story. And that's where we are as a society. And I think, again, I don't think anybody's immune to it in any genre. Some people can just say, hey, I don't want anything to do with that, right? That's fine. There are some who say they embrace every bit of it because the attention and the clicks brings them more, money and more access and things like that. I'm not just picking on him, I'm just being honest. There are more people who will know who Kai Cenat is than who Winston Duke is.
Who?
Winston Duke, who's an actor who played M'Baku in the Black Panther movie.
Oh, okay. See, there you go. Perfect example. I didn't know who he was off his name. I know who he is now, but touche. You're right. But last thing. 'Cause I know we can't stand it. Do you think that's part of the reason why when it comes to sports talk now is more narrative based instead of actually talking about the game now? Is that part of the problem?
I think that's a part of it. I think the other part is you have a lot of people talking about the game who don't know how to talk about the game.
But I know how to talk about gossip and all that. Yeah, so I'm gonna go do that.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And again, ask Stephen A to show you draw up horns action and show you and ask him how to run it.
He gonna say solitary. That's what he gonna tell you. He ain't gonna do. But they gotta fight harder. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna tell you how to stop the defense. We just gotta fight harder. But speaking of, we gotta keep going because we'll be talking about this all day. President Trump is in the news sports wise. President Trump will reportedly sign an executive order to limit NIL money for players. They say the name, image, and likeness NIL revolutionized has reshaped college athletics. Players have more agencies than ever to earn their market value, make some of the money they generated for sports program, and ensure their future, even in events of a catastrophic injury or a failure to be selected by a pro team. It said could potential. Okay, they just explained NIL. No, I want to get to the Trump part. Okay, this comes from the ruling the House versus NCAA, a 2020 case settled last year for $2.7 billion, which sought to lift restrictions on a revenue sharing from a broadcast right. Congress has been working on its own bill to curb NIL spending when negotiating ongoing about purpose cap on the NIL payments from schools. It's unclear what the amount will be, but if accepted, it would be substantially less than what programs are currently spending. So when the NIL happened, I was happy for it because players deserve to be paid. I think, honestly, me and you, when we first talked about it, I guess because I'm going to say because me and you talk, we do our podcast, but I do look around and hear what people were saying. I could have sworn me and you was like one of the first people saying like I they gonna have at some point get it under control. It's gonna get out of hand. I thought with the NIL, my first initial thought of NIL was it was going to be same thing that's going on, but if players was to get paid, it's not a problem. Not that hey, I'm gonna give you $5 million to come play for LSU this year, because now when you doing it like that, and a player, you give a guy $5 million, no real paperwork being involved. How we 100% know he getting all this money? Two, how is he going to actually accept what's the better way to say it? Like he's not under contract, so he can be one and done. He gets this $5 million and leave. So how can you secure yourself with this player? And now it's going to be like every other year, people going to go throw more and more money for a player. So now a guy, he go with a Heisman his sophomore year, he on like a $5 million NIL deal. A team that need a quarterback, now we're going to throw you $10 million. I can't be mad at that young kid for going to go get that extra money because it's on the table. I'm going to leave. I love this school, but hey, look, mama and daddy got to eat. So, but what's your reaction to more of a forget Trump more than anything? What's your reaction to the limit on it? Do you think it could be a good or bad idea? And they say it's going to be substantially less. So it's like, I don't know. So pretty much it's going to be a salary cap at this point.
So I think there are a couple things to consider, SB, for me here. Number one, are these student athletes employees?
Yes.
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 So why, as an employee, and who are they an employee of?
The NCAA or the school they at.
Right. Mm-hmm. So why are we in a fair market system, and I want to use air quotes, capping what they can earn playing for a specific school? When somebody can answer that $1 million question for me, we can have a deeper conversation, because nobody's been able to give a real legitimate answer. The only thing you're hearing from the other side is we can't sustain our programs long-term paying these kids as much as we have to pay them to get them to stay or get them to come here. Oops, figure it out.
Figure it out, yeah. Hey, look, I would have been saying anybody come to my school, Oh yeah, you want a 5 million? Look, 2 year contract. You got to stay here for 2 years. Make a contract. That's. I feel like this answer is simple. I don't think you should limit their money at all. Hey, look, you want this NIL money? 2 year contract. Start treat it like a real business. Because at the end of the day, it's like the pros now. Make the kids sign a contract. I think no more than 2 years because you always should be able to get in and out. But yeah, I say do a 2 year deal. That's it.
Yeah,
And then just have something in the contract where if you don't get certain things that you was promised, then you can get out your contract. He said
right,
Lamar Jack said this might be a W for smaller schools as well as a cut down on the abuse of the transfer portal. But as a player, I want the biggest payday possible.
right. And again, this is where I go back to these student athletes have a finite time to earn this money. These
Yep.
schools can continue to earn this money for years and years and years. That's why they have endowments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that the system doesn't need to be more fair across the board because to Lamar Jack's point, the smaller schools can't compete with the Alabamas and the Ohio States and the Clemsons and the USCs and the Texases and the Texas A&Ms.
But hold on, wait, Sean, before we go there, when could they ever compete with them?
Well, and I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
in a system where now they can spend money without it being under the table, in a system where they can now spend money, they can't compete with them. So I do believe there is some value to there at least being some way to equalize the system. But the equalizing of the system for me should not be me telling a kid that you're only going to get paid so much regardless of what school you go to, right? If I'm working somewhere and a company offers me an opportunity and that company says, hey, we're going to pay you $70,000, $80,000 more or $100,000 more a year than you're making, it's a no-brainer.
I'm taking another job. I'm gone.
Right? And again, I'm not going to get into that too crazy about that, but I'm just saying that's the idea. But keep in mind, these student athletes have a very small amount of time to make this money. So to me, the issue is the NCAA, in conjunction with these schools, need to figure it out rather than saying, oh, we just need to put a cap on, what these kids can make, and they can't make any more than that. Because again, do you want these student athletes to unionize? Because if they do that, then you're creating a whole other monster. And I think that's where it's eventually going to head, in my humble opinion, is that these kids are going to end up basically becoming a union. And again, in a paying union, now you're talking about a whole different animal right there.
I bet they miss paying them under the table, Sean, now, because I bet you miss paying under the table now.
You miss dropping off that black duffel bag at somebody's house. I know that. So
that's it. Hey, it went from paying somebody 100,000, 200 here and there to 5 million a piece now.
And keep in mind, SB, the NIL passed in 2019, so we're only 5-6 years into this, right? What about all the years prior to that you were profiting off of these kids and you didn't pay them anything over the table
at all?
So let's just keep it a buck. I do not feel sorry for the NCAA. I do not feel sorry for the school. Y'all could have done this a long time ago, and y'all kept saying no. They're students. They're students. They're students. It's a privilege to play in this particular this school and this particular sport. And now that the chickens have come home to roost, now all of a sudden you're mad. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Miss me with that.
He said, Wu said, you have players staying in college just because they won't take a pay cut going to the pros. Hey, look, if I'm balling and I'm a star, boy, forget that. I'm staying all 4 years now. Schools shouldn't you be happy? Hey, look, you got college players staying a long time. Look, I'm staying there.
If I get 8 years of eligibility and I can get $4 million a year,
I'm doing that. We're gonna make it happen. He said, Jay said, Trump doing everything. Like, ain't he 80? Man.
It's all everything. Yeah. It's all distraction. It's all distraction.
Yeah, he doing everything what he's supposed to be doing. He worry about the Redskins. He worry about NIL money. It's this building on fire over here, man. You worry about what the kids doing in the park. It's on fire. Do that. Go over there. This don't matter. The team being named the Commanders or Redskins, it's not important right now. This building And if you understand what's going on, and look, you know what I'm saying. This building is something's on fire over here. Do that. Go over there, man. He said all for L. But yeah. Then we got to get into some quick NFL, and we got to do our GOAT quarterback seasons too. They go another problem with ownership. Bengals, another trash organization. I'm calling it how it is. They just as bad as Skyline Chili, which is mid. So they first round pick Shamar Stewart has been holding out because they tried to put some secret wordplay in his rookie contract that no other rookie had in their contract. And I couldn't sign it to my phone, sign the StreamYard on my phone to upload the video. But you guys go look it up. I put the short up on the YouTube. Just look it up on the YouTube. Where the owner had pretty much was like, if he was to go to jail or something else crazy happened, I shouldn't have to pay the player or something, which is I was disturbed by it a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. So I'm kind of probably glad that I ain't had a clip in here because I probably would say something I don't need to be saying. I was kind of disturbed by that. First of all, why is that your first thing coming, man? What have this kid has done to show that he would move anyway like that? Also, no other rookie has that in his contract. Then you want to use the injury. This man has not been shown to have that bad of an injury history where you need to put this in his contract where his leg is almost falling out the bone or he got a secret injury that nobody knows about. You need to do your job the right way. That's all I'm gonna say. And when we looked at this too, Sean, Duke Turbin, who is the director of player personnel, he said, they say Cincinnati Bank director of player personnel Duke Tobin is growing frustrated over the pass rusher Shamar Stewart decision to hold out as two sides remain at odds over the first round pick's rookie contract. And before I get into his exact quote, you acting like he asking for $1 million. He literally just said, "Give me the same regular contract that every other rookie got and every other rookie contract that you gave out." That's it. That's all he's saying. But you wonder why you growing frustrated that he's not here, which is complete BS. But he says, I hope Shabar comes in. Turbin told reporters Monday, according to Sports Illustrated, Russ Helpman, he needs to be here. I would encourage him to be here. He could be a factor for a championship caliber football team. I like to see him and hope he gets here soon. If he is a factor, Sean, so you being a championship caliber team, which is not true because your defense is trash. Why have you not figured out the contract situation there? Why are you not saying, hey, the ownership needs to just give him his contract because he needs to be here because he's the championship caliber player? No, you ain't gonna say that though. You ain't gonna say that though. But because that's the truth of the matter. But also, I'm trying to think who else was. I think the Texas A&M, either the coach or a teammate had a statement, pretty much saying like, "I don't blame Shamar Stewart. He's listening to advice he's paying for. I don't understand the advice. We treated him fairly." Turbin said that too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Turbin said that too. What you mean you don't understand, Sean? It's clear. He clear as day told you what his problem, what y'all need to do fix it. So what is he talking about? He don't understand. He getting the advice that he paid for. No, it's common sense. Why is this in my contract? I don't get it. But Sean, what's your reaction to this? Is Duke wrong or he right? The director player personnel.
I mean, he represents the interests of the organization, right? So he's going to speak on behalf of the organization. The issue with the offset language is basically, and just to put it in a nutshell, the issue with the offset language is if, say, a team signs a player to a 4-year contract, rookie contract, which is the standard rookie contract. Of course, if you're a first round pick, there's a 5th-year option generally on the other end of that contract. When they pay out a certain amount of guarantees, if they cut you before you complete the 4 years of those contracts, the offset language is basically so you don't collect those guarantees. If you sign with another team, they feel like whatever they owe you should be offset by what you're earning from that other team, basically to keep guys from double dipping. Yeah. So that's really the issue. He needs to be here, and you need to sign him to a contract that y'all agree on. Like, I mean, it's not rocket science.
It's not to me.
Yeah. Now, is he going to miss quality time in camp, things like that? Absolutely, because that stuff matters. right? He's a rookie. He's coming into a trash defense. You
Mm-hmm.
drafted him because your defense was trash. And yeah, he does need to be there, but business before the field.
Yep.
Take care of the business first.
At the end of the day, this is a business. I have to agree with you on that. It's still a business. It's so much of a business. That's why you got the NIL problem going on. But it's so much of business. Sometimes, Sean, when we have conversations and when people trip out about trades and all that, one of your favorite saying is, it's not even stop looking at the player all the time. It's not about the player. You moving the contract. It's the contract that's getting moved. It's the money that being moved. Sometimes people be like, how this player get traded for this? It ain't about the player sometimes. It's about moving his money, moving his contract. And that's just pretty much what it is. And people need to understand that too. It's still a business. Business before anything. I'm not doing nothing to my money right. And NFL is the only sport, and I understand why, because it's also one of the only sports where the player is not the logo. The shield is bigger than everybody. The NFL is the only sport where they make you seem like you are a bad teammate, you detrimental to the team because the ownership are doing bad business with you. You supposed to just accept it in the NFL. On my last year, let's get my contract extension in. If I sit out, I'm being bad to the team. I'm disturbing the roster, but you don't want to sign me. But in the NFL is the only sport that do this. But I digress. You know how the NFL is. Love the NFL, love the sport, love to watch it. But one of the most dirtiest things that we have going on. Quick funny story, Sean, before we get into our GOAT seasons. Quarterback, we doing NFC West this time. Make sure you guys comment what division you want us to do next. Quarterback Phillip Rivers officially retired as a member of the Chargers 5 years after his final NFL game. I'm the Chargers guy here. Shout out Philly. I'm not shocked it took him long to retire. First of all, I thought he retired already. I told you, I was like, when you sent it to me, I'm like, what? I'm like, I thought he'd been retired. But you should be shocked that the guy is hard to pull away or pull out for something when he got like 12 kids. So we already know Phillip Rivers is not pulling out anywhere. So I'm not shocked that he waited so long. So he didn't want to pull out and pull the trigger on him being retired. But I swear I thought he retired. I thought he'd been retired. I thought he'd been done. But shout out Phillip Rivers. I enjoyed watching him. He was the quarterback around the time I became a Chargers fan. Him and the LT, Antonio Gates, Phillip Rivers. So congrats to him. Hall of Famer. I don't know. That's a tough call, but yeah. What's your reaction to it? 5 years later is crazy, by the way.
I don't have a reaction to it. This was really for you, not for me.
Yeah.
We can move on, as some people would say.
We can move on. So, Sean, we do it. GOAT quarterback seasons. So we going through the history. This was kind of tough too. And the tougher team is with the first answer on this. So I'm gonna see where you go, because the other team in here, these quarterbacks. So now we starting to hit where you got to pick and choose. But so how it goes, if you haven't seen us do this already, we're going, obviously it's the countdown to the NFL season. We're going through each team franchise to picking the greatest quarterback season during that time for a franchise. That's it. And once you pick a quarterback, you can't pick them again. All right, Sean, NFC West.
Right. And just a reminder, as we said, once you pick a quarterback, you can't pick them again. But also that quarterback had to play at least four seasons for that franchise to qualify for this particular exercise.
All right,
and
Sean.
winning the Super Bowl is great, but it does not mean you had to go quarterback season for your franchise. So just want to point that out as well.
All right, Sean. Arizona Cardinals.
So Arizona Cardinals, few guys in the running for this one. Go back in history, Jim Hart, 1974, 2,411 yards, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Neil Lomax from 1984, 4,614 yards, 28 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Kurt Warner, 2008, 4,583 yards, 30 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Kyler Murray, 2020, 3,971 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 133 rushes, 819 yards, 11 touchdowns. Kyler Murray was off the charts in 2020, and nobody really talks about it. But GOAT quarterback season in Arizona Cardinals history, Carson Palmer, 2015. 63.7% completion percentage, 4,671 yards passing for an 8.7 yard average, 35 touchdowns, 11 interceptions for a 104.6 rating, and he was third in the MVP voting 2015 Carson Palmer GOAT quarterback season for the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, let's be real. That answer is wrong, but we know who it is, but we can't pick him because it's another team in this division where the real answer is a certain player, but I'm not picking him for the Arizona Cardinals either. Because as long as me and you both know that, Sean, that Carson Palmer was a secondary answer. Or you really think that's one?
He was third in MVP voting that year.
I'm not picking. I'm picking Kurt Warner for the Rams, so that's what I'm not picking. But the honest answer is Kurt Warner, but I need him for the Rams, so I'm not picking him. I'm going to. I said I wasn't picking no old players, but I'm gonna go. I just picked the next best person that I figured for them. I'm with Jim Hart. I went the old guy. I think it was 76-1. He had almost 3,000 yards. We had 18 and. Wait, no, I got to make sure I picked the right one again because I was looking like Jesus. First of all, Arizona Cardinals quarterbacks was kind of trash. I'm going to be real with you. But yeah, I picked 74 Jim Hart, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Secondary answer, I'm picking that one. That's the one I'm picking. But my real answer would have been Kurt Warner, but I need him for the Rams. But I'm taking him. He said Carson, wow. But also remember, Lamar Jack, once you pick a quarterback, you can't pick him again. So sometimes you gotta make a sacrifice. And how trash the Arizona Cardinal was, I'll make a sacrifice for that trash organization. They're trash. They're 100% trash. Now, I went Jim Hart. You went Carson Palmer. Who you got for the Rams?
So the Rams, again, quite a few guys in this conversation. Norm Van Brocklin, 1953, 2,393 yards, 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Roman Gabriel, 1969, 2,549 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 5 rushing touchdowns. Vince Ferragamo in 1980, 3,199 yards, 30 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. Jared Goff, 2018, 4,688 yards, 32 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Matt Stafford, 2021, 4,886 yards, 41 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. But this one was very, very easy for me. It's Kurt Warner, 1999. NFL MVP, 65.1% completion percentage, 4,353 yards passing for an 8.7 yard average, 41 touchdowns, 13 interceptions for 109.2 rating. That the greatest show on turf, 1999, Kurt Warner. Nobody saw that coming, and he was the catalyst, and then again he was the NFL MVP. It's Kurt Warner, 1999 GOAT season in LA Rams.
Salute Zero in the chat, and yeah, I have to agree with you. 1999 Kurt Warner, outstanding season. I kind of caught like a little bit of what made me rock with them was like the 01 or 2 around that time, like especially 01. That's when I like really started locking in on football and everything like that. You know, I still regret it now because I was a kid. I picked the cooler jersey, but I was like, I'm picking the Rams or the Chargers. LT Marshall Faulk. I was like, well, I like the Chargers jersey, that baby blue, and I'm still suffering for it. I could have celebrated a couple Super Bowls, but I do have to agree with you on that one. Kurt Warner was outstanding, greatest show on turf. Nobody saw that coming. Came over, took over, man. Is they the greatest? Is they the greatest team in the early 2000s around that time? Maybe.
I mean, they're in the conversation
for sure. I'm gonna say they're in the conversation for sure.
Yeah.
All right, but I have to agree with you on that one. 49ers. Who you got?
I'm gonna tell you, this one was a little tough. This was a little tough because it really came down to 2 guys, honestly. And this one was a little tough.
Sean, stop it.
No. I'm good. No.
Okay, explain how it's tough.
No. Because hold on. Remember, we're doing the GOAT quarterback season. We're not talking about the GOAT quarterback for the franchise. We're doing the GOAT quarterback season. So, Y.A. Tittle, 1953. You know, obviously, 2,121 yards, 20 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. John Brody in 1970, 2,941 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, was the MVP. Jeff Garcia, 2001, 3,538 yards, 32 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and 5 rushing touchdowns. It really came down to these two for me. Joe Montana, 1989, 3,521 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, was the MVP. But I went with Steve Young, 1994. Steve Young, 1994 was off the charts. 70 first time, 70% completion percentage, 3,969 yards for an 8.6 average, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 58 rushes, 293 yards for 7 rushing touchdowns. One of the highest quarterback ratings ever. It's 94 Steve Young. And again, that's not a slight to Joe Montana. We know Joe Montana is the GOAT quarterback for the 49ers, but the GOAT quarterback season for the 49ers is 1994 Steve Young.
I like the pick. Well, it could be GOAT aura for this team or not, but I went 89, Joe. Because you did say over 70% completion. Technically, Joe had over 70 that season. It's 70.2. It's over 70. 70.2, 31 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Bro, Joe was crazy. MVP, a 112 QBR. Like, I went with that one. And like I said, maybe Joe got the or 94 Steve Young was off the charts too, by the way. I'm not gonna deny that. But I went with 89. I went with 89, Joe. I had to get Joe the love. But and also for me, what was the nod for me too, even though it was Steve Young, for 70 completion percentage in the 89 and a half of 112 QBR during that time is outstanding. So I might have gave Joe love off the GOAT aura because he's the GOAT of their team, but that's I went Joe and didn't go away from him. Now I know he set the record there. Yeah, I know, but I still pick Joe. Like I said, it could have been GOAT aura where I picked Joe. I pick Joe.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that of doing this whole exercise, that was probably the toughest one so far, was debating between those two. I just went with Steve Young because Steve Young was just at a different level, and
he was nice.
And the questions about Steve Young, as talented as Steve Young was, talented as the Niners was, could they win without Joe? And they did. And won big. And a lot of
I think that's why that one hit harder too with them too, because they won that question mark over their head. Can they do it without Joe? And they did it. That means a lot.
Yeah, and he did it without Bill Walsh. Like, I mean, Bill Walsh, it was George Seifert was the head coach. That Steve Young 94 was ridiculous. It might be the GOAT quarterback season for the 90s as a decade. He was that good.
All right, Cheryl, who you got? Seahawks. All right, go ahead and show me how much you love Russell Wilson real quick.
Yeah, Seahawks, a couple guys in the running for this one. You had Dave Craig in 1984, 3,671 yards, 32 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. Matt Hasselbeck, 2007, 3,966 yards, 28 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Geno Smith in 2022, 4,282 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. But went with Russell Wilson 2015. Russell Wilson 2015, 68.1% completion percentage, 4,024 yards for an 8.3 average, 34 touchdowns, 8 interceptions for a 110.1 rating, 103 rushes, 553 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Russell Wilson 2015 GOAT quarterback season for the Seahawks.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. As a person, to show you how much you love Russell, because looking at this team too, and I was like, it ain't that many too many quarterbacks. I almost picked Matt Hasselbeck, but unfortunately, it is Mr. Danger. That same year, I have to agree for everything that you said too. I don't want to beat a dead horse repeating the same thing, but for out of all their quarterbacks, they didn't really have too many like outstanding quarterback seasons. Even though Russell Wilson was good, but like compared to like how we just talked about Steve Young and Joe Montana, they never had no season like that with any quarterback in their franchise. So you got to take what you can get. But I do have to agree, it's Russell Wilson. Is he in general though? Is he the greatest Seahawks quarterback in general?
Yeah, I would think so.
Might be by default.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it's probably other guys in the car like Dave Craig and Jim Zorn, guys like that from back in the day, but I would think it's Russell Wilson.
All right, Sean, 7-5. Who you got?
I got two guys, two of the greatest defensive linemen ever. Deacon Jones, probably the scariest man to ever play in the NFL. Had a chance to meet him not long before he passed. And
was like huge, wasn't he?
well, he was at this point he's like in a
Oh, he
wheelchair.
was old,
So,
yeah.
but his hands, he had like the biggest hands, even and his very strong.
Oh,
His
really?
eyes, like the scariest eyes, still had them scary eyes even. But he was very nice. He was very nice.
What?
And Joe Green, Mean Joe Green.
Mean Joe Green, that's cool. I was gonna go Mean Joe Green too, but I'm gonna switch it up because I seen his name. I forgot he was 75, but I'm gonna go Vince Wilfork. Shout out Vince. I'm gonna go
Big
big boy.
Vince.
Big,
One of the funniest moments on Hard Knocks ever, Vince Wilfork, when he was with the Texans, when he showed up in that in the overalls.
Overalls, bro. Wow, bro. Vince Wilfork was hilarious for that, boy. I'll be real with you, Sean. I believe that's all he had on.
Probably
Uh,
so. Probably so.
Probably
Probably
so.
so. Yeah.
I crazy about after the show. I'm gonna go look this up after the show because that was hilarious though.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys for watching another episode of Real Takes on Facebook. SB and Sean Webb, and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.